Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all having a wonderful, wonderful weekend so far. All right, so let's get right into it. This is okay, this is an article that actually inspired me to sort of animate an opening for a new segment, which I am going to call "You Don't Know Tolkien." Okay, and check it out. Oh, wait, sorry, I hit the wrong thing. That's right. That's what this article inspired because, as we know, we're going to come across a whole lot more of this, right? Where we get these articles from people telling us Lord of the Rings stuff. And it just has become so evident from some of the things that they say and some of the things that they write that you have to, the only way you could describe it is, tell me you don't know Tolkien without telling me you don't know Tolkien. So now we'll have a segment, and the segment is You Don't Know Tolkien. And the very inaugural one goes to Ben Hardwick of CBR.com. And let's see why Ben is the lucky founder of the new segment. He says Mordor had a conflicting origin story before the Rings of Power. The Lord of the Rings of Power, showed the dramatic formation of Mordor, yet the evil land had confusing origins long before the show. All right. The Lord of the Rings of Power, had a dramatic reveal of Mount Doom and showed the very first origins of Mordor. But while it made for quite the visual spectacle, some audiences complained about it going against Tolkien's existing Middle-earth lore. While that may very well be the case, the origins of Mordor is already something that's questioned in the Lord of the Rings community. Sorry, let me pause this here because that's annoying me. Okay. Mordor's rise in the Rings of Power came from the Orcs' secret plan, one which took decades to complete. Tunnels they had worked on for years were flooded with water, flowing directly into an inactive volcano and causing it to erupt. The epic explosion revealed both Mount Doom and the origins of the desolate land soon to be known as Mordor. As for how accurate this is to the lore, it must first be decided which version of Mordor's origin story is actually canon. Tolkien never described Mordor's origin in The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. Despite the later published Silmarillion novel providing more stories surrounding the world's history, there was still no mention of Mordor's formation. The only confirmed fact is that it was around during the First Age of Middle-earth, which already conflicts with the Rings of Power as it's set halfway through the Second Age. Okay, so you see what the sort of comparison that first it's, well, there's nothing that specifically says how it was created. Then it's, well, according to the Silmarillion, it's around in the First Age, and that goes against the Rings of Power. You notice how they said it doesn't, make the Rings of Power completely non-canon and stupid. They're saying it conflicts with the Rings of Power. In 1981, author Karen Wynne Fonstad released The Atlas of Middle-earth, an official reference book under the Tolkien estate. It used all of Tolkien's published writings to try and detail Middle-earth as accurately as possible, and while there were a couple of mistakes here and there, for the most part, it was seen as a worthy guide. However, Fonstad made the assumption that Mordor was once covered by the Sea of Helcar, and that a great battle against the Dark Lord Morgoth caused a tectonic uplift and rose Mordor to become part of the land. For a while, this was as good a guess as any. In 1996, the 12th volume of the History of Middle-earth was released, which compiled a number of Tolkien's notes into a single book. Here, Tolkien notes that Mount Doom was created by Morgoth during the First Age, before the great battle referenced in the Atlas of Middle-earth, which suggests that the desolate land existed before any earthquakes and was never under the sea. It was possibly formed by Morgoth himself. Morgoth was essentially a godlike being, one who was able to reshape the land and even create new life such as orcs and trolls, hence the You Don't Know Tolkien. With this level of power, it's not a stretch to assume the Dark Lord corrupted a section of Middle-earth into becoming Mordor, especially if he had created Mount Doom and planned on it being his home. While the tectonic uplift theory does sound convincing, it seems to conflict with Tolkien's notes too much for most fans. In the end, there's still no definitive answer to Mordor's origins. To confuse things further, the land is never referred to as Mordor until the Second Age. Still, most believe it was created in the First Age by Morgoth to use as a home base, which is quite a drastically different origin than the one seen in the Rings of Power. Yes, that is true, because the one seen in the Rings of Power is complete and utter fan fiction bullshit. Okay, this article literally is telling you that there are two versions of the creation of Mordor. One from a book, okay, by Fonstadt, the Atlas, right, where they make some assumptions, okay, and the other from Tolkien himself, both of which agree that Mordor is created by Morgoth in the First Age. Okay, now whether it was under the sea and it's due to tectonic uplift, or just Morgoth somehow said land rise and boom, Mount Doom pops up, okay, irrelevant. But the bottom line is both of those official sources tell us Mordor, First Age. Okay, yet somehow we're supposed to now take the bullshit that is Rings of Power's version of Mordor, that it was literally a big steam explosion, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. In the show, them having all that water flow into this, called underground caldera of lava, right? This pool of underground lava under the mountain, and hitting it with all this water. All that's going to do is cause a really big steam explosion, which, according to the Rings of Power, that's how we get Mount Doom, and that's somehow how we also got the entire land of Mordor, right? But this article is trying to say that is also a reasonable origin for Mordor, and it's trying to confuse readers by saying, well, there's these two other versions of Mordor's origins that the fans can't agree on. One is from this Atlas book, and one is from the histories of Middle Earth and Silmarillion and such. And ultimately, those two other versions that the quote unquote fans can't agree on both have Morgoth creating Mordor, the land of Mordor, in the first age. Okay, which means that the Rings of Power version is complete fan fiction and utter nonsense, right? Because it doesn't fall in line with either of those versions. It's not created by Morgoth, okay? It's not around in the First Age. It was literally just quote unquote Southlands with grassy fields and nice, scenic mountains, looked sort of like Switzerland, until the orcs decided to dump a lot of water on the lava underneath the mountain and have this great big steam explosion, which is complete and utter crap. But there you go. Again, people say, like, dude, why don't you just let it go? Let the Rings of Power thing go and stuff like that. Because you keep getting articles like this. As long as they're going to put out articles that are this unknowledgeable, I'll call them out for their lack of knowledge, and that's why I've created the new section. So this was the first article in our segment known as You Don't Know Tolkien. All right. Anyway, there you go, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think it's the version from the Atlas where it was under the water in the First Age, and due to the wars with Morgoth, tectonic forces sort of forced it above sea level, and that's how we got Mordor? Or do you just think in the later noted version where Morgoth creates it and creates Mount Doom, and we get more? Or You know what? I'm not even going to include the third option, the Rings of Power option, because I know you guys are smarter than that. Like all of us know that that's like the bullshit version. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I know I'm not getting into too much detail on the issue. Like we can have in-depth discussions on it, but I'm more just showing how this article tries to equate the Rings of Power's origins for Mordor with established, the two established versions of the origins of Mordor, and it fails miserably. Miserably. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you think tectonic plates created Mordor? Do you think it was just Morgoth saying, there it is? Let me know what you think down below. All right, guys, remember, if you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means do so. It gets it seen. It gets the numbers up. It gets the YouTube algorithm recognizing the video and getting it out to more people. If you have not subscribed, I would hope that you would consider subscribing to the channel and joining Cutter One's army of beautiful badasses. And if you have subscribed, thank you as always. You are awesome, and I enjoy sharing these videos with you guys. So until the next time, remember, be good, be safe, be awesome. Peace.